MTR engineering incident delays commuters during morning rush hour. Each diner may be limited to bringing 2 dogs under the new pets in restaurant policy. And at least 10 dead in remote Canadian town school and home shooting. Good evening and thank you for joining us. MTR services between Sheung Wan and Quarry Bay were suspended for about 1.5 hours during rush hour this morning after train components were found obstructing the tracks near Wan Chai Station. The rail service provider says the obstruction might be linked to an engineering vehicle that had conducted overnight track maintenance works, which damaged trackside gears. In the aftermath, MTR engineering staff reached Wan Chai Station to examine the damaged stretch of the track, and police officers were deployed to the site. The disruption began at around 6 a.m. when the MTR reported an obstruction near Wan Chai Station. Train services between Sheung Wan and Quarry Bay had to be suspended, with limited sections later operating at 10-minute intervals. Services only gradually resumed shortly before 7:30 a.m. The incident took place during the morning rush hour, leaving commuters packing the platforms. This commuter says she left home earlier than usual in anticipation of delays, but she still had to wait for 3 trains before being able to get on one. MTR apologized for the disruption, saying it will follow up with a full investigation. Meeting the press after the incident, the MTR says its operations control center first detected a signaling irregularity near Wan Chai Station at around 5:30 a.m. Engineering staff were immediately sent to inspect the tracks, and objects were later confirmed to be on the tracks at around 6 a.m. MTR's preliminary investigation suggests that shortly after engineering works were completed this morning, an engineering vehicle used for maintenance work passing through the section may have had some components moved. The company says that might have caused damage to trackside equipment, and that objects found on the track included signaling equipment and train-related components. Further inspection and repairs will continue tonight. The company stresses that rail operations remain safe. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mei Bu-chen says the government is very concerned about the incident and has instructed the MTR to submit a report within a month. The Electrical and Mechanical Services Department has also been asked to conduct a detailed on-site review. Under the current mechanism, the disruption, which lasted more than an hour, could result in a penalty of over $1 million for the MTR. The government is moving to allow pet dogs to enter eateries, likely with a cap set at 2 dogs per owner. Restaurants with limited floor space might be denied pet entry licenses. Authorities plan to roll out the first batch of 500 to 1,000 licenses by mid-year. Secretary for Environment and Ecology Zhe Chun-wen says the government is still consulting experts on the matter after hearing feedback that it might be more difficult for diners to manage more than 2 dogs in restaurants. He adds that a review will take place 6 months after the law takes effect. When asked if restaurants near popular dog-friendly areas like West Kowloon and Sai Kung will be given licenses first, Zhe says permits will be allocated by lottery. The father of fugitive Anna Kwok has been found guilty of handling funds linked to an absconder, becoming the first family member of a wanted activist to be convicted of a national security offense. The 68-year-old Kwok Yin-seng was accused of attempting to access funds from a savings insurance policy issued by AIA. The insurance policy was bought when Anna was 1 year old and had been funded by the father, the defendant Kwok Yin-seng. Early last year, he said his daughter was no longer in Hong Kong and applied to cancel the policy to withdraw the remaining balance. The judge says the savings policy belonged to Kwok's daughter after she turned 18. And as Kwok knew his daughter is a designated fugitive, the move amounts to handling funds linked to an absconder. A fatal traffic accident occurred this morning on North Lantau Highway. A New Territories taxi collided with an engineering truck, leaving 1 dead and 2 others injured. The deceased was a 28-year-old male passenger. He was thrown from the cab when the crash happened shortly before 10 a.m. The taxi was traveling towards the airport when it reportedly struck an aero board truck near the roadside. The impact ejected the male passenger from the taxi, who allegedly did not wear a seatbelt. He was pronounced dead after being rushed to North Lantau Hospital. Police are investigating the cause of the collision. A shooting at a school in British Columbia, Canada, has left 8 people dead, including a woman believed to be the shooter, and 25 more injured. 2 more people were found dead at a nearby home, Canadian authorities said. Tracy Furness has more.
British Columbia Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, issued an emergency alert in the town of Tumbler Ridge, warning of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School around 1:30 in the afternoon.
As part of the initial response, officers entered the school to locate the source of the threat. During their search, police located multiple victims. The individual believed to be the shooter was also found deceased from what appears to be a self-inflicted injury.
He said more than 25 people were injured, including 2 who were airlifted to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The town of Tumbler Ridge is more than 1,000 kilometres north of Vancouver, near the border with Alberta. The provincial government website lists the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School as having 175 students from grades 7 to 12. The Minister for Public Safety said it was one of the worst mass shootings in the country's history.
While the RCMP emergency alert has been lifted, the people of Tumbler Ridge remain in a state of crisis following one of the worst mass shootings in our province's and country's history. This is a devastating day for a close-knit community, and the loss being felt is profound.
British Columbia Premier David Eby told reporters that police officers reached the school within 2 minutes, adding how children going to school and being safe is taken for granted.
I can say for myself, and I'm sure for many British Columbians, many Canadians, it makes us think about our kids' safety when they're going to school. We take it for granted. You go to school, you come home safe. And events like this give us pause about that safety that many Canadians have the privilege to enjoy across this country.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Authorities had detained but later released a person for questioning in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, more than a week after the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was kidnapped from her home in Arizona. Tracy Furness has more.
The search for Nancy Guthrie has been extensive. FBI agents going door to door, talking to local residents and leaving their card if no one was home. Air surveillance too, with helicopters scouring surrounding areas, and a large billboard clearly visible for all to see, with contact details for those with any information. The 84-year-old grandma and mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, Nancy, was reported missing by her family after she didn't attend church on the morning of February 1st. Authorities said her blood was found on the front porch. Purported ransom notes were sent to news media. However, 2 deadlines for paying passed, with the most recent on Monday. Then the FBI released the first surveillance images Tuesday, showing a masked person on Nancy Guthrie's porch the night she went missing. The person walked up to the door and tried to conceal the camera with a glove before turning around, grabbing some plants, and then putting them in front of the camera.
The person is wearing a mask, a backpack, long sleeves, and pants. It also appears they're wearing a handgun holster on their waist. FBI Director Kash Patel posted the videos on X. He says they were recovered from residual data located on the back end of the system.
More than a week after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, her family believes she is alive. Her daughter appealed for help on social media.
We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And we need your help.
And still ahead, Donald Trump threatens to send another carrier group to face Iran. A busy start for Hong Kong's Lunar New Year markets. And top business officials may be using less AI than expected. Welcome back. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick was grilled on Capitol Hill as he admitted having visited the notorious Epstein Island with his family years earlier. But he forcefully pushed back on the idea that his ties with Jeffrey Epstein ran any deeper. Danny Zhou has the story.
Lutnick was under fire at a subcommittee hearing of the Senate Appropriations Committee on Tuesday over his alleged ties with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, following the release of what is known as the Epstein Files. Lutnick is by far the highest-profile U.S. official to face bipartisan calls for his resignation in the controversy.
Why did the Epstein Files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Describing their contact as a number of emails and meetings that were years apart, Lutnick confirmed his family had lunch with the late sex offender on a visit to his private island in 2012, and that he had another hour-long engagement at Epstein's home in 2011. That refers to the official's previous claims that he had cut ties with Epstein after a 2005 home tour that disturbed Lutnick and his wife.
I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person, okay?
Shortly after the testimony, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt came to the Commerce Chief's defense and said Lutnick remains an important member of Trump's team.
Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about, because you continue to ask questions about the same subject.
But Leavitt would not confirm whether a reported call by Trump to a Florida police chief over Epstein actually happened.
But did he call the chief in 2006? Caroline, did he call the chief?
Look, it was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question. What I'm telling you is that what President Trump has always said is that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true.
When asked by reporters, Leavitt did not rule out the possibility of Trump granting clemency to Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's ex-girlfriend and accomplice, for her testimony. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Speaking on Fox Business Network's Cutlow, U.S. President Donald Trump said he thinks Iran wants to make a deal on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. He also took a swipe at the Iran policy of former U.S. Presidents Joe Biden and Barack Obama.
I don't know. I don't know. I know one thing. They want to make a deal. They wouldn't talk to anybody else, but they're talking to me. But you know, it's a good question. A lot of people say no. And I would say that I'd rather make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. No nuclear weapons, no missiles, no this, no that, all the different things that you want. But some people worry that they've been very dishonest with us over the years, right? Very dishonest. Obama and Biden, what they did in terms of creating a monster with Iran was terrible. That Iran nuclear deal was one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen.
Meanwhile, a top Iranian security official traveled to Oman, the Mideast Sultanate, now mediating talks between Tehran and Washington over the Islamic Republic's nuclear program aimed at halting a possible American strike. The visit by Ali Larijani, a former Iranian parliament speaker who now serves as the secretary for the country's Supreme National Security Council, likely focused on what comes next after the initial round of indirect talks held last week in Muscat with the Americans. It comes as Iran marks the 47th anniversary of its 1979 Islamic Revolution today. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer stressed he would never walk away from the job. This as revelations about the relationship between former UK ambassador to Washington Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein spiral into a full-blown crisis for Starmer's 19-month-old government. Daniel Rao reports.
It's been a busy week. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer appeared defiant amid the mounting pressure as he visited a community centre in southern England.
There are some people in recent days who say the Labour government should have a different fight, a fight with itself, instead of a fight for the millions of people who need us to fight for them. And I say to them, I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country. I will never walk away from the people that I am charged with fighting for. And I will never walk away from the country that I love.
Some lawmakers in Starmer's centre-left Labour Party have called on him to resign for his judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson as ambassador to Washington in 2024, despite his ties to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Starmer brushed off internal party dissent and said the real fight is not in the Labour Party and was with right-wing politics. Police are investigating Mandelson for potential misconduct in public office over documents suggesting he passed sensitive government information to Epstein a decade and a half ago. Mandelson has not been arrested or charged, and he does not face any allegations of sexual misconduct. Starmer, however, could still face fallout from the ongoing controversy.
So, Keir Starmer remains in office. He's still Prime Minister, and he seems to be safe from challenge for now. But there are serious pitfalls ahead. At the end of February, there's a special election for a seat in Parliament in what should be a safe Labour seat, but which the party might well lose either to the Reform Party on the right or to the Green Party on the left. That could trigger another round of Labour soul-searching and a potential leadership challenge. If he gets through that, there are elections in May to the Scottish and Welsh legislatures and for local council seats in England, and Labour is expected to do quite badly in those midterm elections. And that may be the moment when challengers for his job, who are holding fire for now, they're not ready to launch campaigns, they may try to make their move.
Donald TV News.
President Xi Jinping inspected an elderly care service community in Xicheng district in Beijing ahead of the Spring Festival to learn about meal services provided there. The downtown community, located in Beicaochang Hutong, is barrier-free and age-friendly after renovations, providing diverse services including canteen, healthcare, leisure, and cultural activities. She also greeted delivery workers taking a break at the facility and paid a visit to an apartment complex for seniors, where he spent time with the elderly and conveyed best wishes for their health and longevity. The president stressed that caring and supporting all elders is a shared responsibility of society during his inspection tour. All 14 Lunar New Year flower markets across Hong Kong opened today. While the morning crowd was still light, some early shoppers were eager to pick the festive items ahead of the Chinese New Year. Samantha Lee tells us more.
At the opening day of the Lunar New Year fair at Victoria Park, some kindergarteners were taken to the site to soak up the festive vibes and learn a little about the New Year tradition. The kindergarten principal said the children were brought to the market not just to experience the festive spirit, but also to learn about ways to handle money. By mid-morning, many stores were in full swing, showcasing orchids, daffodils, and other popular New Year blooms. Shoppers were already picking their floral favorites, with some splurging on peach blossoms for good fortune. This shopper set the budget to within $2,000, adding that the peach blossoms are stunning this year. Some vendors said first-day sales were slightly slower than last year, but they remained optimistic. Dry goods stores were buzzing as well. Many items featured Year of the Horse motifs, and students got hands-on experience running their own businesses. These university students at the business group designed many products themselves and kept prices reasonable. They would give discounts to buyers if they win the store's games. Adding some star powers to the festivities, a bank invited international celebrity chef An Sheng-jae, one of the judges for a popular TV cooking contest, to kick off their store's opening.
I can feel the vibe, like everyone's enjoying themselves, it's nice weather. I mean, who else doesn't want to be here? Because in Korea, Lunar New Year's we usually spend time, there's not many festivals like this or fairs like that.
The markets will run for 7 days, with overnight opening on Lunar New Year's Eve and continue until 7 a.m. on Lunar New Year's Day, offering a full week of color, tradition, and festive cheer. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
A new survey by an international business consulting firm found more than 2/3 of Hong Kong's white-collar workers regularly use AI tools on the job. But the survey also reveals slow AI adoption among the senior executives, which might stall transformation. Global business consulting firm McKinsey surveyed more than 4,500 working professionals and students between November and December last year. Its result shows nearly 70% of white-collar workers tap AI tools every day. Among them, 88% report productivity improvement, with daily engagements topping 90%, indicating rapid mainstream integration of AI. Executives such as CEOs, however, are said to be lagging in AI adoption. Only 14% are said to be using AI multiple times a day. That's 4 to 5 times lower than mid- and junior-level staff. With fewer than a quarter of respondents using AI to execute an entire workflow end-to-end, McKinsey says the leadership gap in AI adoption could become a bottleneck in the transformation efforts of companies. The firm recommends that businesses step up AI training across all levels and establish robust cybersecurity frameworks to address concerns over data privacy and security.
AI can actually help to consolidate thousands of paperwork, etc., and pinpoint exactly of where will be the areas that can be helpful. Right? So, and then that's the leaving the client interaction front to the human being, but doing the mundane and also the more tedious work to the AI.
Their survey also shows that around 90% of university students across a spectrum of majors are actively preparing for the AI era by developing AI-related skills. Students say they're honing their abilities to use AI tools for not just crafting smart prompts, but also developing their skills for innovation and creativity. Among some 1,700 university students they interviewed, 73% also prefer careers where AI can play supportive roles.
Mastery of AI skills is no longer optional. It's the basic requirement. Number 2, think about how to use AI to augment your thinking, not to replace your thinking. AI can easily create a 60-point answer nowadays. So how should you ensure that your answer is 80 or 90 points?
More than 2 months after the Legislative Council election, the expense declarations of 161 candidates have been released. A candidate spent $180,000 on personal image management, while another declared over $20,000 on parking. Christine Fang, who ran for the 6th time and won her seat with the highest tally, declared expenses of $1.18 million, lower than her previous 2 campaigns. Olympic fencing gold medalist Vivian Kong, who ran in the tourism constituency, spent just over $110,000. Jody Kwok Foo-young from the DAB party spent over $180,000 on her personal image management, including portrait photography, makeup, and styling. Kwok said it was normal expenses and made no further comments. Tommy Chung Ki-fong from the import-export sector declared parking fees for about 1 month, totaling over $20,000. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.